Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, joined with Rafferty here again today.
Hello, world.
And today we're watching Get a Robo, if I'm correct, 1974 release,
Yes,
the original series. Now, I thought you had some history with Get a Robo. Do you not at all?
I have a little bit of history. I did review Get a Robo Armageddon for a review service, but I had not seen any of the previous ones. I'm familiar with them and seen clips of them. I'm much more familiar with Mazinger, which was a show that came out before this, also known in the US as Trans or Z, that was a big hit in 1972. And apparently, this show comes out a couple years later in its attempt to you know, see if there's still a spark left in it. It's got Go Nagai from the original team, but some new people, and they're trying something a little different. And I'm also more familiar with Gurren Lagann, which says it draws a lot of inspiration from this. And I think once we start watching Get a Robo, you can see that it's kind of, I would say it is transitional between it's got the Mazinger look to it of the super robots with the big fantastic fins and all that kind of stuff. And it looks like it's going to be, crazy and over the top. So I'm excited to see it.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting that you said that Gurren Lagann takes some inspiration from this, since the only thing that I've watched before this that I was told Gurren Lagann took inspiration from was Die Buster.
Well, I'm quoting some of the internet on this. And of course, people on the internet will say anything. But after having seen Gurren Lagann, and from what I know of Get a Robo, because I've seen Armageddon and some clips of Get a Robo, it's from there. Like I mentioned before, there's two camps. I'm going. There's a video game series called Super Robot Wars, and it breaks robots down into super robots and real robots. In the 60s and 70s, in the Mazinger and Gigantor era, robots look very large and blocky. They have a Tezuka or Go Nagai influence to them. They look very Gucci. They do a lot of slow moving and destroying things. They've got some of that giant monster. They're very large and indestructible and powerful. Now, later in the 80s, you're going to see the Macross era come in, where robots become real robots, where they look more like fighter planes and military. They get a lot smaller. You can see the transition in Gundam, where Gundam tries to make them like smaller fighter pilot vehicles, and they're a lot more disposable. Like in this super era, it's usually one giant robot versus one other giant robot. Whereas in the Gundam and Macross era, it's lots of robot fighter pilots and everyone's blowing up all the time. So this is definitely from the super era, and Gurren Lagann owes a lot more to the super era, where it's you know single giant robots fighting each other.
So that was funny you mentioned Macross and Gundam since they're both shows that we watch here on the channel.
Yeah.
Um, Also, quick correction. I said Die Buster. I have not actually watched Die Buster. I watched Gun Buster, which comes out
Okay.
before Die Buster. Die Buster, obviously, to Buster. So,
Now I'm not. I've only seen Gunbuster. Yeah, but Gunbuster's also from that era where they have the kids who turn into fighter pilots and that sort of thing. This is much more, like I said, in the super era of borrowing from stuff like Gigantor.
right. And what year did um, Armageddon come out?
Armageddon's much later. It's like 1998.
Okay, but still not post aughts, as it were.
No, it's definitely in the last era of practical animation.
Okay.
Uh,
Again, because I saw the
so
poster for Armageddon, and I thought this looks like Gurren Lagann or God, there was another show that we like one of the first shows me and Griff reacted to that had a similar art style to that and Drifters and Hellsing that I was
okay,
like that this
eh,
reminded me of, so I thought it was a much more modern.
yeah, no, get a Robo. I had that on DVD. That's how old it is. Yeah, it's it's and that had a trouble production. That's why I would like to talk about that one, because that one is a trouble production. You can see it. So, but that's another story. And who did that one? Is that Toei? No, that's Studio OX. I don't know who they are.
I've never heard of them, but I don't tend to have a lot of background information on the studios or the voice actors or anything until it comes up.
Well, this one today, the original Get a Robo, is the venerable Toei studio. So, it's probably gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, they've got a good history of anime right up until that point where they picked up One Piece and then discovered where their money was going to be made for the next 1,000 years.
Oh, hey. Are they still doing Digimon?
I don't know anything about Digimon.
Oh, okay.
I watched like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of the show, and then one day I sat down and watched the movie when I was a teenager. So,
Okay.
wasn't my
Well,
thing.
we should probably watch Get a Robo because we could be talking about the stuff Toei made, because they made a gazillion things.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're one of the oldest animation studios currently active in Japan, so.
Yeah, they did do a bunch of Digimon stuff. Yeah, they did do the new Digimon stuff.
All right.
Okay.
But like you said, we should go ahead and roll on into Get a Robo. Of course, though, but before we get started, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below to feed that algorithm. On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered, uncensored, and uncut, as well as some early access stuff, you can check it over on the Patreon. It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure. It's all to support the channel, just a little bit extra. So it's a three
Not even,
piece.
not even trying to make it like look real.
Well, I mean, it morphed. That's the weirdest thing to me.
Yep. This is what gets me to Get a Robo. He just has a giant axe.
Well, I mean, even in a real robot genre, like, Zaku's have giant axes.
I know, but watching him run with the axe, he just looks like a serial killer.
It
Like
kind
he's
of
not.
it kind of upset me when we get to Gundam and the Gundam has a giant space flail, and it's like this is not even this is supposed to be a real robot. I would accept it in a show like this.
Yep.
They're ramming into one another. See, at least in this, they're not doing anything as egregious, say, as a Voltace 5, where they have a giant top as a weapon.
Yeah.
Like they pull out a giant top, spin it in front of them, and then throw it at an enemy.
I mean, like, one thing I always want to remind people is that this is for young adults. And that's not saying there's anything bad about that. It's kind of like they're normally not very nuanced. They're designed to sell toys to children. And while there is some nobility in that, I mean, if you want to do a watch through of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, I'm here for you.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, too bad we don't do Western animation. With that sound effect, I would expect that he just slowed down time.
You did.
Like, is there supposed to be a backstory I should already know? Why these two people
No,
don't like each other?
this is the first episode. That guy?
Well, you just tried to assault him with a soccer ball.
He's showing off that he's too cool for football.
I mean, in some of these shots, I really appreciate the hard lines that the anime, or that the art is drawn in.
Well, they're leaning into it.
Yeah.
This is Go Nagai was you can tell he's the character designer on this. This is his signature look with the swooshy hair and thick lines.
See, I don't know a lot of what they've done before, but these art styles do look very familiar to me.
Right. Well, this in Mazinger.
Well, I've not watched Mazinger.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a throw.
Yep.
Is he supposed to also be foreign?
I'm not sure. He has a Japanese name.
Well, yeah, but he's got like a different face to everybody else.
And he is a Christian.
Yeah, which is also not the norm.
But also, foreign can mean a lot of things because it depends where it comes from in Japan.
Well, typically in a show like this, if I was going to guess someone was be foreign, I would start saying American. It's either American or French. It would be my first guesses.
Let's see. Have you seen Violence Jack?
Sounds familiar, but no.
Oh, man.
They're doing a good job of characterizing everybody. It's the future. It's the future inspiration for Cobra Commander from the G.I. Joe movie.
I believe it.
Well, this is basically that explanation of where Cobra Law comes from.
Parsing into the magma. I mean, I love this. We go straight from high school drama to boom, and then dinosaur people. Respects your time.
So
oh yeah.
Did he explain, are these real dinosaurs or are they robot dinosaurs?
Yes. Also, go to guys find the original Devilman.
Did not watch that either.
Oh, okay. That's what we're watching next. The original Devilman is something to see. And we just unleashed the dinosaurs.
Well, I mean, the first thing we have to do is show how effective everything is, right? So that when the heroes come to save the day, we know why they're important to be here.
Yeah, I would believe this kind of stuff influenced stuff like G.I. Joe, but of course G.I. Joe, like they always have to show people parachuting and like
yeah, they explicitly went out of their way to God, what was it? It wasn't Reagan era. It was pre-Reagan era.
No, it's the Reagan era.
Well, the censorship of the time, right?
Well, I guess they're worried about kids being traumatized. Whereas in a show like this, like all those people are dead. This is where those jokes come from Dragon Ball about how we've teleported their planet to another dimension.
It's Emperor Gore. I'm just reminded of Voltaire 5, right? When they destroy the entire Earth, all the armies of the Earth. And it's just the one robot from Japan that saves the day.
Yep.
It's always something from Japan.
They haven't even explained what Getter radiation is yet.
It's the first time I've heard the word getter in the show.
I know, but they're. I'm familiar with the premise, but they haven't explained it to us yet. So this is very Mzinger.
I guess the implication is also that these flying car things are normal because no one's acting weird about it.
Well, for Christmas, that's how many. That tie is a choice. Same.
I'm saying we can see this guy in a Hawaiian shirt and he wouldn't look out of place.
恐竜だの怪鳥だのって実際にいるんでしょうか。
いや、まったくだ。宇宙に飛び出そうという時代にな。
こちらコマンドマシン。ただいま東南東の風2.0メートル、気温15度。合体訓練に上々のコンディション。
Perfect conditions for combining.
よし。ではこれより合体訓練を行う。まずゲッター1。
Again, the weird thing for me is that what we saw in the intro is they just ram into each other and they just morph. It's not even really combining.
I mean, they also morph on stuff like the Transformers, because you can see subtle differences between how the toy works and how the stuff works. Even in Macross, because they sell Macross toys.
Well, Lessons and I are watching Macross, and they at least like try to make the robot parts, you know, fold out of other things.
Right.
These things are like made of Play-Doh. They're just forming out from things.
Right, and also they're pretty good in Macross and Transformers at hiding how things change scale. Like the feet, like heads will get larger and feet will get smaller as they transform, but you don't. You know, they're getting better at hiding it. Probably because shows like this that come out in 1975, you know, they had 5 to 10 years, well, like 5 years to perfect the technique. Also a different studio too, because let's see what studio did Macross. Yeah, Macross is Studio Nue.
So, like, Getter 1, Getter 2, and Getter 3 are just different combinations of the same 3 jets.
Apparently.
See, like I said, just rammed them. My only concern is, not even concern, my only confusion then is, what happens when they inevitably try to swing a sword at this thing that morphs all the time?
I don't know. We can fly into space anytime now.
なんて素晴らしい計画なんだろう。
大変だよ。恐竜が水力発電所を壊したんだってさ。
知ってるよ、そんなこと。
それなのに何ぼんやりしてるん
What
だ。
are you standing right here for?
本物のゲッターロボを出動させてよ。
バカを言っちゃいけないよ。ゲッターロボは宇宙開発のために作ったんだ。怪獣をやっつけるために作ったんじゃない。
I just outfitted it to be able to, though. So they're cyborg dinosaurs?
They're cyborg dinosaurs. They already said they improved them so they could fight. I mean, I can handle cyborgs, and on a good day I can handle dinosaurs, but I don't think I can handle cyborg dinosaurs.
70s animation sometimes gets me. His whole body's moving, but his mouth is the thing they can't figure out.
Yeah. That's what happens when they interrupt you when you're trying to transform.
Oh, I appreciate this show all that much more now. They're doing a thing Sailor Moon couldn't even pull off. Stopping somebody mid-transformation.
Yeah, see, they get it out of the way early.
I imagine this is also to explain why a bunch of kids are going to have to pilot.
Yeah. Wow.
So I guess Gundam is also cribbing from this, because it's the same move they pull.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of what I was, complaining about. It's like the show like this sets it up. It's not that hard. We're only 15 minutes in. And I already know they're high school students. They have their own little petty rivalries. I know who the comic relief guy is. I know there's dinosaurs invading. I know she survived. Wow, it's her brother. See, there's stakes. They've already, like, they've already demonstrated to show that the bad guys are bad. They show them actually doing something bad.
全身鋼鉄製のようでした。
とするとメカ恐竜。
その通りだ。
To be fair to the professor, dinosaurs don't usually shoot heat rays.
恐竜帝国の帝王ゴールだ。この地球のどっかに科学力を持った恐竜帝国があるというのか。まもなく人類は滅び地球。
There's really one. It's not something I suspected this whole time.
Well, you know, you can't trust reading social media.
上がったな。すぐに中止するのだ。断る。何？
The one thing he cares about.
30年間費やして作り上げたもんだ。簡単にやめるわけにはいかん。力は破壊するまでだ。メカザウルスサギオ、早乙女研究所を襲え。
It's also funny to me that Emperor Gore knows the names and locations of everything on Earth.
Well, I mean,
こっちへやってくるぞ。
it only makes sense. He's planning his invasion.
Well, I mean, it's like he could have just said, you know, attack the source of this transmission,
みちるさん。
but he names the institute and where it's located.
He looks up. He's the emperor. He looked this stuff up.
Thank God the dinosaur internet was connected to. Oh no, no internet. Sorry, I keep forgetting.
よし。
Well, I mean, like, but they didn't show him doing the research. But yeah, he has an entire empire underground. They've been waiting thousands of years to do this. You think he could take an hour to look up, hey, what's at this location? Oh, the Satome Research Science.
Yeah, he sent out a dinosaur scout to buy an atlas and brought it back.
I mean, he also bothered to learn Japanese conversationally.
I don't know about that. We're in the era that if he was speaking a different language, we'd still be hearing Japanese.
何ですか。その本物のゲッターロボット。
What does he mean by the real getter Robo?
よく。私は宇宙開発のみにゲッターロボを使いたかった。しかし、こうなっては兵器を備えた。
I mean, we already saw his mental flashback of the colored Getter Robo vehicles.
みんな殺されてしまった今となっては。
So we already know that there's more machines.
This is also what I like about storytelling, because they want to show that the professor is a pacifist and doesn't want to use the machines for war, but he's also a nut-job inventor, so he did build it, and it does have weapons for war, because I guess he wanted to blow up asteroids or something, but then he wouldn't tell anybody about it, but the stupid kid knows about it. That's why you're not supposed to let the kid into the classified lab.
なあ、隼人、頼むよ。僕たち3人でゲッターロボに乗ろうじゃないか。そうか。
Let's say, yeah, is he playing harmonica?
That's a harmonica, yeah.
わかったよ。
So, that's the sound I expect a harmonica to make.
隼人のバカ野郎。
It's not the sound a harmonica makes.
おいよ。あんなやつ相手にすんな。
Comic Relief Guy is totally here for it.
Because I'm a judo expert who owns a katana and I guess expects to go mining.
I don't think that's a katana.
I don't know. I'm just using generic sword.
Yeah.
みちるさんがピンチなんだ。助けなきゃ殺されてしまう。
Yeah, I'll do it for the piece. Ooh. Like the hair from his face. I'll come, but only if I get to be an asshole about it.
隼人、一緒にやってくれんのか。
なんだ、おめえみたいな清潔感でも、モナリザのみちるさんだと助けようって気になるのかよ。俺はボインちゃんが大好きでな。
Wow, they really changed him for Armageddon, and not for the better.
It just feels like this is the same template that we went on to create boy bands with 20 years later.
Exactly correct. Or, you know, K-pop bands.
一体どこ行くつもりだ？
And before that, J-pop bands.
ゲットマシン？へえ。
Huh. Thanks, Comic Relief Guy.
Is the big guy supposed to be the comic relief guy?
Yeah, he's the Comic Relief Guy.
Oh, because I was expecting the little kid to be that.
No, that's because this is a classy show.
あ、俺と。
I mean, notice that the other two guys look cool and macho, and he's got a cape which literally has a drawstring on it, and a construction helmet.
Well, I already made the joke that it's a miner's cap, but the idea that also he went to a school to get people to pilot highly complex machines.
I like this. It's not difficult to pilot. All it requires is willpower and reflexes. Yeah, so
Really,
he's the comic-
consent was not a big deal in the piloting program.
Well, also notice he's the comic relief guy. It's like, hey, I came all the way here to pilot a giant robot, and then they put him in a giant robot, and he's going, wait, I can't pilot a giant robot. It's like, why did you come?
Well, I mean, he said no on the ground, and two guys manhandled him into the pilot seat.
Right, but why did he even show up? Like, what did he think was going to happen?
I mean, to support his friends. I mean, you can have a lot of bluster, and then, back down once you actually see what's going on.
Oh, they named it for animals.
And jaguar, bear, and what was the other one?
Eagle. They don't make theme songs like this anymore.
No, they don't. Every decade has its own sort of theme when it comes to theme songs.
Yes, he's the comic relief.
Careful, we have it on good authority. He's got beams of some sort.
Heat rays from the mouth.
We're not cribbing from any other famous property when that counts.
Yeah, it looks stupid in front of the girl. I guess you can.
They're doing a real disservice to the three other trained guys that died out here.
Yeah, I mean, the comic relief does seem kind of stale when, 10 minutes ago we watched someone's gruesome demise.
Yeah, I mean, we're just fucking around out here.
Not to mention all the jet pilots that were killed earlier.
3 people are still probably dead on the ground, burning in whatever fuel these things use.
Literally, their corpses are not cold. Not to mention all the people on the tanker and the jet fighters were killed. And don't forget that dam burst just swept away all those houses.
Yeah, we didn't see anybody handling that. We didn't get a Robo out to non-violently stop the flood.
It's on a blindfold.
That's how people.
They even named him Musashi as a joke. Oh, it's not an axe, it's a tomahawk. That's even better. Technically, it's a Franciscan.
Oh no! They upgraded the defenses against the thing we've never seen before.
He's the Emperor.
I'm just saying, we've never had the Getter Ray thing explained to us yet.
Wow, look at that. It's like blood and stuff. Wow! Not enough to chop the head off, also got to stomp on it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I guess
is.
we don't know what it's capable of, right?
No,
You don't want it to pick its head up and put it back on.
Yeah, see the hat's got the little plus sign on it? That's the construction hat thing. You see that in Mega Man.
Oh yeah, the little guys who go up and down and they're invincible when they're down.
Right, because they're monolithic construction workers.
I thought it was actually another cross. I thought he had a cross on his helmet.
Yeah, they put a little plus sign on them for some reason. I don't know why. It's the style of the construction hat.
Well, no, I mean, I thought it was longer on the down end, so it was more like a cross to me.
Yeah. I don't know why they do that.
I really hope this guy's not controlling the legs.
He is. Don't worry, it's all willpower and reflexes.
Well, I mean, at the very least, they did know what kind of person he was before we ever met them. So,
Boom! And that's the first episode of Get a Robo. Imagine being like, the 7-year-old Japanese kid and you saw this for the first time.
I could not possibly.
I could.
I don't know the culture well enough to imagine what being like 7 years old is like in Japan. Don't they have year-round school?
Yeah.
Which means it'd be even more difficult. Well, no, then I have to imagine what time of day I would be watching this. Also, I'm not exactly sure I love the idea of the humans combining into Get a Robo.
I love the lyrics. Should morning never come to earth, may these dreams live on. Like, even the theme song's depressing.
Well, see, I'm watching this and I can't help but...
Oh, wow.
The Emperor is always naked. I'm taking that on as well.
Well, everyone's naked under their clothes.
No, but while watching this, I'm thinking to myself, I can't help comparing it to, say, again, Voltes 5, which comes out a couple of years after this.
Yes. Well, I mean, basically, after Mazinger was a huge success, first of all, it's in color. And secondly, it's a little crazy fun. Obviously, they wanted to duplicate that. And so while Mazinger... Gigantor comes first, but Mazinger ignites this whole genre because you can see this. Okay, you can't. This owes a lot to Mazinger. It has a lot of the same formats: high school kid, pilots a robot, assisted by a patrician scientist. There's regular invasions, and they have to fight them off. And,
well, again, that's why you're saying look at Mazinger, and obviously I can't. But I'm comparing it to Voltes 5, which again, like 2 years after this, and it's also lauded as one of the more seriously written versions of this kind of show. So the fact that this ends on a cliffhanger caught me off guard a bit because I didn't expect a show like this. I thought this show would be more episodic, where everything is self-contained, which is why Voltes 5 caught me off guard, where it also ends its first episode on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, no, like anime was... They would air them once a week on a regular schedule, so they could expect that people would watch them in sequential order. It's not like the US market, which was often syndicated, and they expected to make about 60 episodes in a batch and then rotate them. So they made them very quickly and on the cheap. So Japanese television, it would air in a regular slot at a regular time. U.S. animation, even before the syndication, when Hanna-Barbera were making those stupid 15-minute shorts, they would make them, with the intention of chopping them up and putting them in other shows later. So yeah, pretty crazy.
Did they ever explain what getaways were?
Not in this episode, no. They just identified that the base was the source of the Getter rays, and that's how they tracked them, and they told them to stop. So they kept using the word getter, but they didn't explain
Yeah,
it.
he's been working on it for 30 years, he said.
30 years.
And then Emperor Gore wants him to stop. And yet Emperor Gore has also upgraded the defenses of his dinosaur cyborgs against Getter ray beams. So assumedly he's already been attacked by Getter radiation or rays or whatever.
Well, that's not a plot hole because he said, hey, we've upgraded your defenses. And then it didn't work. They just chopped the dinosaur's head clean off.
Well, no. He shoots him with the Getter ray beam. And he says, ha, we've upgraded our defenses. And the beam does nothing.
So they hit him with the axe.
Yeah, well, the Getter Tomahawk, which apparently is also using this weird energy of some sort.
See, this is where Minovsky particles comes from, if you remember those.
Yeah. It's the core to how Gundams can operate. So... Well, in Universal Century, anyway.
Right, but they don't explain Minovsky particles in Gundam.
Oh, man, to have you on a Gundam show, the technical geniuses that love the technical manuals will tear into you about everything once you start wanting to argue real-life physics.
Right. By the same definition here, it's like you watch the first episode of Gundam and they mention Minovsky, but they don't stop the first episode to explain how Minovsky particles work and provide fast light travel like that. No, they just drop it. I mean, I'm sure later they'll explain what Getter radiation is and how it helps all this stuff. But this is the first episode. These guys made a decision. Like, what do we have to tell you in the first episode? We have to set up the three main characters, set up the stakes, set up the bad guys, set up the reason why we have children in these giant mecha instead of adults, and set up the team dynamic, because you've got our all-rounder hero, the obnoxious asshole who needs the all-rounder hero to rein him in, otherwise he has to be motivated to good, and the comic relief guy who exists to make the other two guys look better, and of course to explain stuff like notice. They explained that the Getter robots are self-guided. You just need willpower and reflexes. But they didn't just drop that as an info bomb or as a narrator. The comic relief character shows up and expresses reservations about it. And then they explain to him, no, don't worry about it, willpower and reflexes. So we have two things going on at once here. We establish Musashi is the comic relief character, and these are self-guided. You just need willpower and reflexes, which young people have in abundance. So it's
all they needed was 4 teenagers with attitude.
Yes, and we got that done in 25 minutes.
I know. I do appreciate how tight it was. I didn't feel like there was any hanging. I guess you could clip off maybe 30 seconds from the opening, the whole soccer scene. But we didn't need to slow down time to get that interaction. But I would have appreciated if they did cut off that 30 seconds just to introduce what Getter protocols were. I know it's not a major thing, but it's my one hang up because it's so important apparently that I would love some information, like maybe the scientist when they're walking into the room is on a phone call and he just says something about what the Getter particles are.
But see, this is...
Well, I mean, because they make it a plot point, because they have Emperor Gore say, stop your whatever. So, we have the scientist guy who's all about it, who does a little bit of exposition to say, I've been working on it for 30 years. So they've built it up as a big thing. I just would have liked to know at least something about it.
Well, that's what makes this space opera. We are much more interested in who the people are and what they're doing than
sorry. I guess I'm not saying it as a point of trying to know the world, like physics and everything. I'm approaching it from the same space opera angle, which is motivation. I want to know why he's motivated to do anything about it. Why is it important to him? They didn't
to explore space.
No. Why Getter particles are important to Emperor Gore? That he's going to assault the Earth to prevent Getter particles from existing.
Oh, because when they were at their little base and they said, let's invade the Earth. Now's the time to do it. And when they go to invade everything, his henchman says, hey, I'm getting Getter radiation. And it's implied that Getter is the only threat to his empire. That's why he calls... Notice the Emperor didn't call anyone up. He didn't call up the leaders of the world. And tell them you have to surrender or don't use your nuclear weapons, which exist at this time. No. He calls Professor Satome and says, hey, you, turn off all your Getter stuff. Because that's the only threat Emperor Gore takes seriously. And that's what the professor, even though he's a pacifist, says, no, I give up my dreams of exploring space? Screw you. And that's how...
See, again,
the narrative tells us how serious it is.
I know, but we're also doing that super silly thing that, I have 5 cyborg dinosaurs. I'm going to take over the Earth, And he's only threatened by that, even though we know a sharp object can cut them apart.
Well, only.
Like I said, I really did enjoy the episode. Again, I just have that one little hang up of. I wanted to know more. If they said, oh, the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs carried Getter particles on it. Now they've got a deep-seated fear of Getter particles. Now they're going to keep assaulting this guy. until.
I'm sure they might explain it later in a
Oh, I'm
later
sure. I'm
episode.
sure. I'm no doubt. This isn't not like some hanging thing. If it is, I'll have a bigger problem later if they never explain it. But just for now, I think it could have been a tighter episode if they just cut a little bit of time off of the soccer scene to that the guy could have had a conversation with somebody in the room or on the phone or something. Like, when the guy comes running in, he could have been caught mid-conversation, hang up the phone, boom, we covered everything.
I think there was time to explain Getter, but I would also say that like this is where I usually have issues with Vanish stuff. If we're here for the vibes, then we need vibes.
We're sitting at a 99% good, and I'm just saying what it would have made 100% good for me.
At least in the first episode of Mazinger, they explain what Super Alloy Z is. So yes, it would have been nice if they at least had a throwaway line of the Getter radiation is what makes all of this possible. Like I just said it in one line. So yeah,
I mean, like again, he could have been on the phone and like, oh, you're mining that asteroid from blah blah blah, blah where the impact. That's where we're getting our radiation from. Well, okay, good. Boom, we're done.
No, see, you're inventing entities. It's not that the dinosaurs are afraid.
No. I'm following through on my what if scenario from before. I'm not saying that's what I expect to happen. I'm just saying something.
Right. I mean, what was in this episode is the only thing Emperor Gore fears are Getter-powered robots. That's the only thing that he thinks that could stop his dinosaurs.
Right, and I just wanted to know his motivation for that.
Yeah, well, we
got soccer motivation. we got the high school scene. I wanted the high school scene for Emperor Gore.
See, this is the big difference. Like I'm talking about if it's a fantasy that's supposed to be motivated by characters, I'm glad they spent a couple minutes, or a minute or two at the beginning to explain who these characters are. So I actually care about them and know about them.
Also, he stopped time, or he slowed down time. We don't do that again.
You might. He didn't have to this time.
I'm just being. I don't know. I feel like you showed me that in a meaningful scene, and not in I'm going to attack this guy with a soccer ball scene.
I mean, this is getting back to my big argument. Whereas, lore is the enemy of the good. That's why, I mean, I'm not saying this right. It's like you want to know more about the lore, whereas I'm saying like the lore doesn't matter. It's fancy.
No. Well, I guess a little bit maybe. The lore. I said motivation was my most thing. That's the same thing. We know with the characters.
Right. I mean, the thing we're forgetting about is they also wanted to save the hot girl. I mean,
I'm saying we know the motivations of the teenagers, and obviously save the hot girls, a chief motivation for teenagers. I just mean, why did he call this guy because of Getter radiation? And it's just like, I want to know as much about the bad guys as I do the good guys.
It would have been nice if he had said the statement, the only thing that could stop us are Getter-powered robots. It would have been nice if he said that. He didn't say that. I'm sure that he's going to say that later. That the only
we got a cliffhanger.
Right. Yeah, so I guess we can watch the next one, I guess. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, then, we're just going to go ahead and wrap up for today on this episode, then. Once again, I am Theta. This is Rafferty. Or Norman. Or, sorry, I forgot what I put under your subtitle here. We've been Stone-Faced Reactions. We'll catch you. We'll catch you next time. We'll catch you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?